So, if you haven't heard by now, there was a massive shooting in Orlando where 50 people were killed. And what's particularly striking about it was that it occurred at a gay nightclub a little after 2 o'clock this morning. And I was digesting this today, and I was kind of moving throughout my day. And typically, I'm a pretty optimistic person, and I try to find like a silver lining in most things. And so I was frantically searching throughout all of the news articles and stuff that I was reading, and I was finally able to find one piece when I read that the blood banks, when they opened today, they were full of people with lines stretching around the block and down the street, and it made my heart happy to see that as a response. And then I started going through my Facebook feed, my Twitter feed, and reading people's responses and assessments of the situation. And I have to say, I was uniquely sickened today just by the thought of what was going around. I wanted to touch on something that I thought was important. Working as a pastor, we understand that there are generalizations made about religion, and the man who had committed the atrocity was a self-proclaimed allegiant member of ISIS, or was proclaimed his allegiance to them and was all about them and whatever. And so I started reading about how all of Islam is bad, all of Islam is a violent religion, it's destructive, it's awful, and every bit of it is awful. And I wanted to touch on that specifically because while I, on a personal level, have and take issue with a lot of what Islam stands for in terms of what I believe about it and what I believe are inconsistencies within it, not all of people who are Muslims are bad people. And I think especially as Christians, we have to be really careful about painting with a broad brush when we generalize Muslim brothers and sisters, because what happens is we begin to paint them into this light as if there's no nuance in the religion itself. And certainly Islam is facing a crisis as a religion as a whole, in the sense that the extremism is gaining and garnering so much attention that there's almost no room left for the nuanced voice at the table, because people are being so kind of cluttered and they're kind of being elbowed out by extremism. And so if you're a Christian who's watching this, you would never in a million years want somebody to tell you that Westboro Baptist Church represented your religion or what you believed or kind of who you were as people. And so I'm curious as to why we make that same sweeping generalization towards Islam. And I was listening to this response from a pastor in Tempe, Arizona, who talked about homosexuals needing to be executed, and the response of it being poor that it happened from a vigilante gunman, but not bad that they were actually dead. And it was just frustrating in the sense of like seeing how the deaths of 50 people, first of all, whom we don't even necessarily know if everybody in there was gay or not, but even if they all are, right, with the operating assumption there, it's why are we trying so hard to politicize or talk about the problem of the gay community in general at this point? I mean, do we ever get a point where we can just lament with people anymore? Like, does everything automatically have to be about gun control now? And I don't know, it was a crushing feeling to see that it was either like, all right, guns are bad, now we need to stop doing that, and we're kind of using these really horrific and tragic deaths as props in a politicized game of who's better or who's more right or who's more wrong, whatever it is. And it just kind of made me just weak today in considering and wondering at what point do we just grieve with people, and especially in the Christian church, whether or not you think homosexuality is okay or whether or not whatever, we have to realize that Jesus' heart breaks when people are murdered. Like, you can't be a follower of Christ and not have this shake you up. If this doesn't do something to you down to the very core and the bones of who you are as a human being, something is tragically wrong with yourself. And this, the last thing, really the last thing, and I'll get off the soapbox here, in this understanding of how we want to do our best to identify and struggle with people and love on them, we have to get to a point where we can just understand that people are people, and we gotta love them no matter where they find themselves and where they find their current situation to be, because if we're not doing that, we are just going to continue to kind of lose relevance as a church, and the power of the gospel is going to be lost. So if you're kind of keeping up with the news or paying attention to anything this week, consider the following: that if that was somebody that you knew, or if you have friends in the gay community, reach out and send some love. Do something beyond prayer. And when I say that, I don't mean that prayer isn't effective or prayer isn't valuable or something like that, but you can donate money through Red Cross, you can donate blood. There are things to do other than to just simply pray and forget about the problem, because that too often is our is our default position as believers. Is we really pray about something intensely for a couple days and then we kind of forget it until the next tragedy strikes. So pray for sure, be in prayer, and really take this before God, but also get out and be active. Show support in some way that's more tangible than just saying, all right, sending good vibes your way on some type of Facebook post or status update, because at the end of the day, love without action is a simple platitude that's totally worthless. And so if you identify as a believer, if you identify as a Christian, please don't paint all Muslims with a general their evil brush, and then get out and do something beyond just simply saying good vibes, prayers, and thoughts with people who are hurting. My name is Josh, and I'm with Faith in Whatever, and that's where this video is posted. If you have any thoughts, I would love to hear how we can do more as a community. If you have any things that you can post in the comment section below as to how we can be more helpful, physical, tangible things that we can do, please feel free to put them there so other people can click on them. Thanks.